So your Saniflow or Sanibest pump isn't working. If it's clogged, you may hear this sound. That could also be a bad capacitor. You would have to get serviced, but in this case I'm pretty confident it is a clog. So what we're going to do is we're first going to vacuum using a shop vac all of the wastewater out of the toilet on the front so that we can open this without spilling any water. I use a bucket bag for this step. They're 29 bucks. Kind of gross. If the toilet was flushed a bunch, or if you have additional fixtures that run into it, it might be very full. You might be getting upwards of 5 to 10 gallons out of there. So if you catch it early, you might only have one bucket, which is beneficial. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to close my back feed valve so that if anything is in that line, it's not going to run back in. Alright, I'm going to remove the 2 side screws. These are Torx. I'm going to loosen my main drain clamp. So I've loosened my main drain clamp, and I've loosened my vent clamp. This slides right out. I'm going to move that off to the side. Keep your clamp handy, move it over there. This one, in my case, I have enough play where I don't need to remove it, so I am just going to slide it off. So I've removed the 4 snap clips, removed the 2 side screws, removed the top, and I vacuumed down the water level so that it is below these 2 screws. That's the most important part. If the water level is already below these 2 screws, you don't have to do anything. But in my case, we had to vacuum it down. Alright, so now we have to clear the clog in our pump. This is our macerating pump. And the way it works is in the bottom, it macerates the, I guess we'll call it the material, and then exits out of our discharge. So in this case, we have to remove, what was that? We have to remove our 2 side screws. Again, the water level is below the 2 side screws. If the water level is not below it, water with waste material will flow out, and that's the last thing we want to do. These do have little washers on them. Make sure you don't lose those. The next important thing to remember is these screws fit into a nut that sits on a rail on the pump. So if we jostle the pump too much, you're going to have a small, very small, probably 3 millimeter across nut fall into there, potentially damage your macerator, and it won't be able to tighten. So since it's ready to go, I'm going to very carefully lift it up.
Hey, watch out, because I want to see it too.
Yeah, so you can see here's the small little nuts, and that's the rail they fit in. So if these fly out and fall in, you're going to have a problem. You won't be able to tighten it back up. So in this case, I'm going to put it back in its receiver, and I'm going to pick the pump up
Ew, is that poop water?
It is poop water.
Ew.
So I'm going to pick the pump up. Can you see it?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so this is our macerating blade, and we can see in this case we have some toilet paper that is stuck on here. This is gross, I know. So once this moves freely, we should be good to go. The one thing I would offer is that we should absolutely be unplugging this as soon as possible. You'll burn out your motor if it was sitting there
And also,
clogged. Go ahead, you can say something.
and also the brown stuff, so you know that is definitely something really gross. Is poop water.
That is poop water. So we're gonna put this back on the rails. Come closer. So we need to make sure it fits neatly on these rails.
Are the tools clean?
Yes. Otherwise, the nuts will pop off. So I'm going to take this, and I do hold it by the rubber flange, and I'm going to carefully lower it back.
Daddy, they can't see anything.
Okay, now they can, right?
Kind of.
Okay.
Because here, let me get over here. There. That's better.
So at this point, everything is back in. I'm going to wash my hands before I move back into the tools. Excuse me. And now we're going to go in reverse. So I'm going to take my 2 front screws. Again, it's important.
Daddy, is this sink clean?
Yes.
Okay.
It's important to remember that these have the washers on them. And if they don't thread in securely into that nut, you're not holding the pump, or the nut fell out. And you'll have to go in there and sort through all of the material and find those. It's super important that these go in. We're going to, and again, my particular sink is going in there, so make sure we're not using too much water. I am rinsing my gasket, because we want a really good seal when this goes back onto the pump. So I'm going to take it, and it has a little indentation for the side, so you know easily which orientation it goes. And it's going to come in here, so I'm going to push it on securely. Now I can do this in about 15 minutes now. Unfortunately, we've been using our ship pump long enough.
And also, everyone, did you see that black line? Those black lines around it? That is the black thing that my dad was watching.
Alright, so now that this is ready to go on, we're going to come back over here. This is the hard part. Come on over. What we're going to do is we're going to put the lid, and again, you know, we're going to put the lid back on.
Can't see.
Alright, we'll move it around. So we're going to put the lid back on. However, it's not going to fall right into place because we have to pull that rubber, pump discharge back through. That forms a watertight seal. So what I try to do is fold it in and then pull it from the top a little.
Wait, Daddy, are you putting this on YouTube?
I am.
Kids are going to get grossed out.
This isn't for kids. This is so parents know how to unclog this thing if they have one in their house.
Oh.
Because I never knew how to unclog it, and it's not as intimidating as you think it is. It's just gross. So you can see it's not going to, if you try to force it and push it down under the tabs, it's not going to go. So pull that tight so that the inner flange pops up over the top, creates that waterproof seal. And now at this point, if everything looks level, I should be able to snap.
Daddy, I'm doing a little tiny rainbow behind you. Here's my finger. My finger with my finger.
So next step, I'm pushing in the discharge. And again, make sure your clamps are tight. I'll say it now and then I'll do it again. Before we turn this back on, we have to make sure we open our discharge valve. Otherwise, the force is going somewhere and it's probably going to come back on you. Also, you can't test this. You basically have to put the whole thing together It is a very strong pump. I think it's got like a 15-foot head. So if you try to keep the lid off and test it, you're just going to get, F loose all over the place. It's gross.
And also, everyone, do not try to get your kid to record it for other people, because it's super duper gross, because I'm a kid.
Yeah, well,
it's super gross.
You're going to wash your hands just being in the area. So at this point, I'm pushing this back on. This is your vent stack line. This is nice. It would have been, I think in hindsight, I'd put this on a quick sleeve so that it would be easy to remove it and get it out of the way for when the lid comes off, but no big deal.
And Daddy, how does it even get broken?
It gets broken. You're using a very strong toilet paper that doesn't dissolve well. It'll break. So something you can do is take your toilet paper, put it in a jar and shake it, and if it dissolves, it's going to be good toilet paper. Side, at this point, I'm going to visually check everything before I open it. This looks tight.
Wait, did you only make me come here just to record it?
I did.
What?
Yeah. So, now I'm ready to go. Everything looks good. Hopefully, before I plug it in, I actually want it to fill up with a little bit of water. We don't want it to run dry. We want, if I usually try to switch between different pairs of gloves, to get into another set. So now I have all of that material that I vacuumed out. The easiest place for me to take that, in this case, I'm going to take. Now this is gross. This shop vac. I only use it for this. So I never have to worry about cross contamination of gross stuff. And because it's so cheap, I wash it. I run water right over it. So, excuse me. We're going to take this and we're just going to dump it right back down